Hey, boyo. And you're just sleeping here, taking a bit of a snooze until the night's work begins. Why do you trust me? Well, not fully, but you seem to trust me a little bit. We've met a few times, but I've never fed you and I never will feed you. In fact, last night you surprised me. And my adrenaline started pumping and I jumped backwards because you were right here at the fence. And you ran off into the bush. But now you've come back. I wonder why. I wonder what's happening in that little head before your great hunting with your family tonight. I don't think they can be as beautiful as you are. What a magnificent coat you've got. Healthy animal, young. But now we're going to have a little bit of a snooze. I'll leave you now. Get comfortable. And we'll talk later. Where's your tribe? Where's your tribe, boyo? Where are your people? Bye-bye. This is a wet marula camp in the Kruger National Park. Heavy rains last night, throughout the night, right up until about 9 o'clock this morning. And now looking at the Timbavati River. Last night when I went to bed, that was a dry riverbed. This morning when I got up, strong flow of water. So from last night at about 9 o'clock until this morning, 9 o'clock, suddenly this river came down in a flood overnight. Quite remarkable. The Timbavati is, as far as I can determine, a tributary from the Olifants River. And certainly a week ago the Olifants was quite swollen. It must now be significantly swollen. But as I say, this riverbed, Timbavati, was completely dry last night. Not a sign of water anywhere. Marula is a beautiful camp. It only has camping facilities, and over the weekend it was pretty full. But fortunately the sites here are large, huge shade trees, and the sites are reasonably far apart, so you have a degree of privacy. Unlike some of the other camps, where you have the sense of people being on top of each other. At the moment this camp is pretty empty. There are only about 4 or 5 parties here, so it's beautifully quiet. That's what I want. I couldn't imagine camping in Kruger over December. Masses of people. Not what I need. At the moment there's a light drizzle, and weather forecast for the rest of today and tomorrow is heavy rains and thunderstorms. So maybe I'll take a chalet tonight at Satara. I've still got another 3 nights here and come back for the last night. Marula camp is about 2 kilometers from the open gate and the open camp. Beautifully quiet. The camp has electricity, which is very useful. Unlike Baluli and Tsenzi, which are Eskom free. In the 14 days I've been in Kruger so far, load shedding has been the norm. But fortunately the larger camps have their own generators that kick in when there are constant periods of load shedding. The what appears to be white foam that you can see in the center of the image and floating downriver is not in fact foam, but rather frogs' nests. The adult frogs build this foam nest. Looks rather like a spider's web, and many people think they are spiders' webs. They build this foam nest above water, and when the little creatures are ready to hatch, they fall down into the water, into the condo Daddy made for them. I see more and more of this foam floating downriver now. This morning there was nothing. And presumably now there are lots of little tadpoles in what last night was a dry riverbed. Fascinating how nature takes care of these things. The question I've got now is, how do the crocodiles now get into this river? Because there will be crocodiles coming into this river. And presumably they walk and establish their new territories. Which is wonderful. Absolutely dry riverbed last night, now beginning to teem with life. A dry night last night in Satara camp. Solid drizzle falling this morning. I think we're in for another full day of rain. It dried out quite nicely last night, but at about 5 o'clock this morning, the drizzle started again. And so I think it's quite wet. All of the gravel roads certainly between Satara and the south are all closed. There's been so much water that those roads will simply, on the one hand, become severely damaged by vehicles, and on the other hand, I suspect that Sand Parks would have to recover a number of vehicles on the gravel roads. So I think it's probably wise to have closed them. I mainly travel gravel roads because there's less traffic. And therefore the chances of seeing animals are so much better. But yeah, circumstances now just prevent that. So we will see. I'm going up further north this morning from Satara to Letaba and then to Palaborwa, a town outside the Kruger Park, because I need 1 or 2 supplies. And when the weather's like this, game viewing is not good. So let me use the time as wisely as I can. It's now 10 to 6, very dark, as you can see, wet, and oh my word, fogging up all the windows. I've got the fans off because I'm recording, but yeah, game viewing is not an option today, or highly unlikely in my experience. When it's raining in Kruger, you don't see much at all. Everything goes to ground. I'm not entirely sure why, but animals don't appear to move. So there we are, heading north to Letaba and then to the town of Palaborwa. Well, it's 12 o'clock. No, 1 o'clock. And the rain has stopped for the first time. And it looks as though the cloud bank is lifting. So hopefully tomorrow will be a drier day. Photography with my 500mm lens, very difficult in this very poor light. I'm shooting at 3200 ISO. Not good. 3200 ISO, probably at best 500th of a second. 500th of a second on a 500mm lens is really on the border. So I'm hopeful that the weather forecast is correct and that tomorrow will still be cloudy, but hopefully not rain. 2 days of solid rain, heavy rain, even affecting my phone. I'm heading back to Satara now. Second night in a chalet or bungalow. Quite a heavy wind. So we hope that tonight will be dry. And tomorrow there will be better light for photography. Animals today, mammals. For some other reason, when it rains, animals just go to ground. All I've seen of particular interest today was 2 jackal, blackback jackal, 3 ground hornbills, which is nice to see, and a trio of carmine bee-eaters doing what bee-eaters do. And that's about it. Odd herd of impala and a couple of wildebeest, and that's it. I hope tomorrow is better. Well, this morning, leaving Satara to Baluli, I was at Olifants yesterday to inquire, what happens with Baluli when the roads are closed? You can't get there. And they told me that in that case, as was the case yesterday and the previous couple of days, Baluli is closed and they house those visitors in chalets at Olifants at no extra cost. And I phoned them yesterday evening at 5:30. They said they would probably have an answer by then of what the case will be today. And at 5:30 yesterday evening, they didn't know. But the answer was, if it rains overnight, Baluli will remain closed, and I will be given accommodation in a chalet at Olifants. Well, as far as I can determine, and Baluli is not too far from here, there was no rain overnight. Come baboon, out of the way. There was no rain overnight, so Baluli should be open. Still cloudy in the sky this morning, but considerable patches of blue sky showing through. So Baluli should be open. And so back to camping. And there really are advantages to camping and disadvantages. Chalets, advantages and disadvantages. And I think both make for a good combination. I think constant camping can become a little tiresome. Every now and then you want four walls around you, a little bit of time to organize yourself. Other times I think you want the freedom of camping, and not having noisy neighbors next to you making bonfires because they want to fry a steak. My experience so far in Kruger Park with camping has been that people are very quiet, with the exception of my experience at Bergendal, because everybody's crammed together and it was a weekend and there was a party very close to me with I think 36 children. There were only 6, but it sounded like 36. That to my mind is not fun. Yesterday, in terms of animals, in the morning I thought I saw animals close to Satara on my way to Olifants, and I thought it was going to be a reasonably good day. No, it wasn't. There was very little to see. I travelled the last 20 kilometers between Olifants and Satara at under 20 kilometers an hour, looking for mainly birds, and other than finches and sparrows there was very little. But now, today, the sun she has come back, which is a blessing of course, but it's also a downside. We'll get up to temperatures possibly in the early 40s centigrade. Oh, there was a nice little sparrow sitting close to the road. But the problem with them is the moment you stop and you get close, they're gone. Interestingly, yesterday, this time of year, lilac-breasted rollers, you will see dozens next to the road, sitting, perching, waiting for roadkill essentially, or an insect to cross the road. Yesterday, one lilac-breasted roller, only one, bedraggled, wet and unhappy, only one. Just past a huge herd of buffalo. Now, here is the turn off to Baluli. Let's see if it's open.